Sent from Disneyland, history in our hand. So much to say about yesterday and the decades we have spanned. Postcards from the park, this journey will embark. See what has changed and what remains on Sent from Disneyland. Sent from Disneyland.
Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this podcast, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland, Disneyland history, and more, with mementos, snapshots, souvenirs, and postcards sent from Disneyland, from 1955 to the present. Let's start by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join in at any level to support the show and receive snail mail from my trips to Disneyland and from my desk, plus some sneak peeks and bonus content. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the rest of the e-ticket patrons, to Nia, Eric Daniels, Monica Seitz Vega, Scott Cagle, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Angela Reynolds, Grace Coate, Patty Wolin, and Ben and Noel Bruning. B-ticket patron Joshua Bell, and to the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Angel DeBlock, and the Beyond the Railroad podcast. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has the Ernest S. Marsh pulling into Main Street Station. You can see the floral Mickey below, and in the upper right it reads, "Greetings from Disneyland." On the back it reads, "Guests entering the Magic Kingdom are greeted by a floral Mickey Mouse and the Santa Fe and Disneyland Depot, where a scaled-down model of a passenger train of another era puffs out of the station to take them on a scenic tour of Disneyland." It's postmarked January 23, 1971, with the U.S. Postal Service cancel and a 6-cent flag over the White House postage stamp, Scott number 1338. I assume they visited the park on Saturday, January 23, 1971, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. The weather was a high of 62 and a low of 52. It's addressed to Bill Handel Jr. of Arvada, Colorado. It reads, Saturday, a.m. Hi, Bill. We are just about to go to Disneyland. We've had lots of fun in California. The zoo was great. It's the largest in the world. It's in San Diego. We saw Doris and Phil in Long Beach. Tomorrow, we plan to go to Phoenix. Love, Grandma. This weekend, I'm headed to the theater to see Stephen Sondheim's company. I thought it'd be fun to look back at Stephen Sondheim and his few interactions with the Disney company. Stephen Sondheim was born on March 22, 1930 in New York City. At the age of 10, he was introduced to lyricist and playwright Oscar Hammerstein, who was a mentor for him. After writing his first musical for school, Hammerstein worked with Sondheim to create 4 musicals, one of which was based on Mary Poppins, well before the Sherman brothers had ever put pen to paper for their version. Later in life, he was contacted by P.L. Travers to meet and discuss a stage version of Mary Poppins. He was never able to connect with her before she died. Unfortunately, his version of a Mary Poppins musical was never finished. In college, Sondheim studied music and wrote a musical adaptation of Beggar on Horseback, and graduated magna cum laude in 1950. His first Broadway success was writing West Side Story with Leonard Bernstein. This modern-day musical adaptation of Romeo and Juliet opened on Broadway in 1957. Stephen continued his work through the 50s and 60s with musicals like Gypsy, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Anyone Can Whistle with Disney legend Angela Lansbury, and Do I Hear a Waltz? In 1971, he won his first Tony for Best Original Musical Score and Best Lyricist of a Musical for The Musical Company, starring Disney legend Dean Jones. He continued his success through the 70s with Follies, A Little Night Music with Disney legend Glynis Johns, and Sweeney Todd, again with Angela Lansbury. In the 1980s, his work included Merrily We Roll Along, Sunday in the Park with George, and Into the Woods. Into the Woods would later be made into a film by the Disney Company in 2014. In a 2015 article by Billboard magazine, Stephen was asked how did Disney do with Into the Woods. His response read, "I thought they did swell. The atmosphere of the movie was fine. Dealing with them and making the script, there are rules that you can't break, because our audience doesn't like that. It doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. If you're going to do a movie for Disney, you know that going in, and if you don't, you're really dumb. You try to persuade them, you try to be sure that at least the basics you agree on, and the basics, the reason they bought it, and the reason we let it be made, were all kosher." Add some flair to your mail by checking out stamps at Enfield Post. You can explore different stamp options on our Etsy site, grab some great deals by following EP Sunday Sales on Instagram, or create something special and have her design a stamp array for your invitation or celebration. You can head over to EnfieldPost.com and explore all the different vintage postage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and EnfieldPost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has images of California, including an orange tree, the Los Angeles skyline at twilight, the Golden Gate Bridge, Yosemite Falls, and Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. On the back it reads, 1. Yosemite Falls, Yosemite National Park. 2. Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. 3. San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. 4. San Joaquin Valley Oranges. 5. Los Angeles at twilight. It's postmarked March 1st, 1990, with the Los Angeles Cancel and a 20-cent flag and the Supreme Court postage stamp, Scott number 1895. I assume they visited the park on March 2nd, 1990, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to midnight. The weather was a high of 64 and a low of 53. It's addressed to Amber Marshall of Fresno, California. It reads, 3/1/90. Hi, Amber. Grandma and Grandpa are in L.A. sleeping in one of these big buildings. We are close to Mickey Mouse's house. Be a good girl and earn your stickers. We love you, Grandma Rocky and Grandpa Egg. Sondheim worked with the Disney Company as he was hired to write songs for the movie Dick Tracy. Because of the nature of the film, it was produced by Touchstone Pictures and starred Warren Beatty, Al Pacino, Madonna, and Disney legend Dick Van Dyke. He wrote several songs for the movie, all in the style from the 1930s. His song Sooner or Later, I Always Get My Man, would go on to win him his only Academy Award for Best Original Song. Disney was hoping that the motion picture would rival that of Tim Burton's Batman in box office success. This prompted them to add Dick Tracy characters to the parks. MGM Studios in Florida had characters from the movie, cut-out photo ops, and a stage show. The stage show was even reproduced for the Videopolis stage in Disneyland. Dick Tracy, starring in Diamond Double Cross, opened on June 15, 1990, and ran through December of the same year. The 28-minute show was a song and dance show which included action stunts with characters from the movie as well as an ensemble. Watching some clips on YouTube, it's somewhat reminiscent of Rogers the Musical that played last year in Disney California Adventure. Although Stephen Sondheim wrote 5 songs for the musical, none were included for the Disneyland or the MGM Studios stage show. Sondheim continued to write and workshop musicals until he passed away on November 26, 2001, at the age of 91. Although Sondheim never wrote for a Disney animated feature, he did work with Lin-Manuel Miranda. He also was a contemporary and an influence on many composers who have worked on Disney projects. The front of my incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is a craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern or 6 Pacific. Art Throwdown is a wonderful community of artists who love to share their craft, from creating sticker postcards and coloring techniques to intricate paper cutting and unique crafting. It's always a treat to watch a show and occasionally get some one-of-a-kind postcards from the group. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has a hotel bedroom with a large red ottoman, a wooden desk and chair, and an ornate wooden headboard. On the back it reads, 176 Currier and Ives. Enveloped in a soft tone-on-tone floral print, this room invokes a subtle feeling of nostalgia. A lovely ornate bed frame and dark wood accent pieces complement the theme. The room features a collection of Currier and Ives prints from the New York printmaking firm founded by Nathaniel Currier and James Ives. These colored lithograph prints provide a pictorial narration of our country's growth from 1857 to 1907. The bath has a double sink vanity and a tiled shower located on the second floor. This room is furnished with a king-size bed. It's postmarked August 6, 2024, with a Santa Barbara cancel and a U.S. flag forever postage stamp, Scott number 5873. It reads, Hello, we visited the iconic Madonna Inn and stayed in this room. Miss you, friend, Paige and Jeff. Thank you so much for the postcard, Paige and Jeff. I'm sad I just missed you at the parks last weekend. I hope that our paths cross sometime within the next few months. I know it will in November for sure, as I take my annual trip to your hometown. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment on whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sent from Disneyland or my website, sentfromdisneyland.com. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent from Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney-related properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. This podcast is produced and edited by Clocky McDowell, website designed by Misty McDowell. Theme song was written and performed by Noah Sunday Lefkowitz. Take it away, Noah.